This is land of Havilah, Exodus 27. Moses is on the mountain for what will be 40 days and nights, Exodus 24:18, as Yahweh gives the design of the tabernacle. Years later, Moses remembered this experience and said he ate and drank nothing all that time, Deuteronomy 9:9. This is the third of 7 chapters of what Yahweh said during that time. Coming up, Yahweh's plans for the bronze altar, which will be a supersized grill for the placement of burnt offerings. It'll sit outdoors on the east side of the tabernacle in view of the tabernacle door. If we cut off the hood and trunk of a passenger sedan and just leave the cabin, that would be about the same length, width, and height as the bronze altar. Verse 1. You shall make the altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. The altar shall be square, and its height shall be 3 cubits. You shall make its horns at its 4 corners. Its horn shall be of one piece with it, and you shall overlay it with brass. Comment, the bronze altar will be acacia wood overlaid with Hebrew nekosheth, which could be translated bronze or brass. It'll have a square footprint. It'll be decorated with brass horns like animal horns atop the 4 corners. Coming up, the priest will need utensils for handling the meat, the animal ashes, and the wood ashes. Verse 3. You shall make its pots to take away its ashes, its shovels, its basins, its meat hooks, and its fire pans, and all its vessels you shall make of brass. Comment, the utensils of it will be brass. The basins will be for receiving drained blood. The firewood will sit on the pan. There'll be shovels and vessels for handling the ashes. As to the grill that the meat will sit on, verse 4, you shall make a grating for it of network of brass, and on the net you shall make 4 bronze rings in its 4 corners. You shall put it under the ledge around the altar beneath, that the net may reach halfway up the altar. Comment, the sides of the altar will be about head high. Inside the altar, the bronze grating or net will be about waist high. Thus the meat will be hidden from view because the sides of the altar will act as a rim around the meat. The grate will attach to the altar with metal rings at the 4 corners. To make the altar portable, verse 6, you shall make poles for the altar, poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with brass. Its poles shall be put into the rings, and the poles shall be on the 2 sides of the altar when carrying it. You shall make it with hollow planks. They shall make it as it has been shown you on the mountain. Comment, this translation says you shall make it with hollow planks. It must be a bad translation because it doesn't make sense that a plank could be hollow. It's more often translated you shall make it hollow with planks, which makes total sense. The altar would have to be hollow to house the fire and the meat. Coming up, there will be a fence all the way around the tabernacle and altar. The enclosed area will be called the court. The fence will be made of fabric supported by bronze posts. Thus the public will be able to enter the court, but it will be screened off from daily life. The court will be rectangular, about 150 by 75 feet. The longer sides will be on the north and south, and the court entry will be on the east. Verse 9. You shall make the court of the tabernacle. For the south side southward there shall be hangings for the court of fine twined linen, 100 cubits long for one side, and its pillars shall be 20, and their sockets 20, of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets shall be of silver. Likewise for the north side in length there shall be hangings of 100 cubits long, and its pillars 20, and their sockets 20, of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. Comment, the post will be fluted bronze with silver fillets, which are the vertical bands between the flutes. The post will have silver hooks to support linen hangings. They won't be digging holes for the posts. Rather, they'll set bronze bases on the ground and put the post into the bases. The posts will be about 7.5 feet apart, and as we'll find out, 7.5 feet tall, making the distance between the posts the same as the post height. Coming up, the 75-foot section of fencing on the west, which is the backside, and the 75-foot section on the east, which will house the gate. The construction of these fences will be the same except for the number of posts. Verse 12. For the width of the court on the west shall be hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. The width of the court on the eastward shall be 50 cubits. The hangings for the one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. For the other side there shall be hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. Comment, each socket will be a bronze base with a hole in it that'll accept a post. Coming up, the gate in the eastern section of the fence. Verse 16. For the gate of the court shall be a screen of 20 cubits, of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, the work of the embroiderer, their pillars 4 and their sockets 4. Comment, the east side will have a 30-foot wide entry of linen hanging on 4 pillars. The color scheme of the linen is the same as the tabernacle's interior, blue, purple, and scarlet. The linen of the entry will stand out from the plain-colored linen of the rest of the fencing. There'll be embroidery on the linen of the entry, same as the entry of the tent, but there's no clue what the designs will be in the embroidery. No doubt this is something Yahweh showed Moses. Going back to the design of the bronze fence post, verse 17, all the pillars of the court around shall be filleted with silver, their hooks of silver, and their sockets of brass. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the width 50 throughout, and the height 5 cubits, of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. Comment, coming up, the brass bases on the ground won't be enough to keep the fence posts stable. Therefore, they'll stabilize the tops of the posts with cords leading to pins in the ground, the way we support telephone poles with guy wires. And the tabernacle roofing will be stretched tight with cords fixed with stakes or pins in the ground also. There'll need to be hammers and various tools to accomplish all this. Verse 19. All the instruments of the tabernacle in all its service, and all its pins, and all the pins of the court, shall be of brass. Comment, now switching subjects, the lampstand will need fuel for its 7 lamps. Verse 20. You shall command the children of Israel that they bring to you pure olive oil beaten for the light, to cause a lamp to burn continually. In the tent of meeting, outside the veil which is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons shall keep it in order from evening to morning before Yahweh. It shall be a statute forever throughout their generations on the behalf of the children of Israel. Comment, verse 21 was the first mention of it, that Aaron and his sons will be the priests. In Hebrew, the word for sons also means male descendants. And as Yahweh will be making clear, the only ones eligible to be priests will be the male descendants of Aaron. It'll be an Aaronic priesthood only. Aaron was from the tribe of Levi. Levites in general, Levites not of the line of Aaron, will be able to apply as helpers but not as priests. The 7 lamps of the menorah will burn olive oil. The priest will keep the lamps in order, meaning set up, cleaned, and in good repair, and especially to keep the lamps burning evening to morning, which is all night. Yahweh also said to burn the lamps continually in verse 20, but that's also translated regularly, so probably it was all night, every night, evening to morning, not during the day. The linen screen entry will admit sunlight during the day, so there'll be no darkness any time. Remembering that this is all a copy and shadow of heavenly things, Hebrews 8, 1-5, Revelation 21 and 22 describe a place of God's eternal presence. The present heavens and earth will be destroyed, consumed by fire that burns the elements. God will create a new earth. The new earth will have a great and high mountain. God will cause a holy city called New Jerusalem to descend on that mountain. It'll be a cube in shape, 1,500 miles in every dimension, with a great high wall around it. The wall will have 12 gates. The gates will never shut. Nevertheless, nothing profane will ever enter, or anyone who causes an abomination, and there will be no lie ever in it. Only those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life will be in it. There will be no need for the sun, moon, or lamps, because the glory of God and the Lamb will be the light of that place. There will be no night. The tabernacle of Moses was a rough representation of all that, having a wall with a gate, continual light, bread representing the presence of God, the mercy seat representing his throne, cherubim attending the mercy seat, and a cubical shape to the most holy place representing the shape of the city. Exodus 28 is next at landofhavilah.net, Exodus 28.